my name is Jake Summers. I'm the Senior VP of Sales for Specialty Lighting Group. Specialty Lighting Group is an international national account lighting distributor based outside of Hartford, Connecticut. We work with national retailers, grocery stores, jewelry stores, and the like, and help them realize their goals through supplying them lighting fixtures and control systems throughout North America. So with that said, we'll go ahead and get started. Today's topic of conversation is how to light supermarkets design 101, and we could literally spend all day talking about supermarket lighting, but what we're going to be talking about today are the areas of supermarkets where the supermarkets actually make their most money, being the specialty departments of those supermarkets, the produce departments, the bakeries, the delis, seafood departments, all those areas. So that's really where we're going to be focusing the bulk of our conversation today, is how to light those areas and the different things that we can do within those specialty departments. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get started. So the basic design lighting principle should always have a goal. And the goal here is to assist in selling of merchandise while creating visual interest in the store and maximizing guest shopping experience. You know, gone are the days where a shopper would just go to a supermarket just with a list of products. Now, what supermarkets are doing, they're trying to create an experience and a destination for those shoppers. So you'll be seeing different vignettes and things put in place in supermarkets unlike anything you've ever seen in the past. So when you look at lighting within a supermarket, you need to think of it as adding layers. So you need to have general lighting layer, you need to have an accent task lighting layer, you need to also have a decorative lighting layer. So within all those different layers of lighting, what you can actually modify and change are the intensity of the light, the movement of the light, the form of the light, and the color of the light. So those are the four properties of light that we can actually control, whether it's the general lighting, the accent lighting, or the decorative lighting. And so what we're going to be focusing on is how the four elements that we can change with regards to accent lighting, primarily. So starting off with lighting intensity. So managing the general light levels to ensure that accent lighting is effective. What do we mean by that? Well, if you take a step back and take a look at the human eye, for the human eye to notice a difference in light levels, there must be at least a 3-to-1 contrast ratio, meaning that the accent lighting must be at least 3 times brighter than the general lighting in the space for it to be effective. So an example is, if you have 50-foot candles with general lighting in a space, and you have 100-foot candles of accent lighting, that's pretty much a useless accent lighting system because it's not getting that 3-to-1 contrast ratio that you need. What is effective, though, when you have 50-foot candles is 150-plus foot candles accent lighting is an effective system to have within that space for the human eye to actually notice a difference. I think we can all think of grocery stores or supermarkets or spaces that we've been in where there's been track lighting or different accent lighting added, and it really doesn't do its job. And that's just because it's not providing a proper contrast ratio of at least 3-to-1 over the general lighting in the space. Take a look at this store right here. This is a store that is brightly lit with a lot of general lighting. I would guess you probably have foot candle levels of 80 plus within the aisles. And to do any type of accent lighting in this space, like which is being done in the far left here, the pharmacy, you've got a lot of general lighting to kind of fight through. So it has to be extremely bright for that general lighting to be effective in a space in a store like this. On the flip side, in a store, as you see in this photo here, the general lighting is non-existent over the produce department. All you have is a beam system with track fixtures. So there's no general lighting at all for that accent lighting to fight through to do what it needs to do to highlight the produce tables and displays. So how do you choose the appropriate light level? Well, it all starts with the photometric information on the back or on the back of a spec sheet. So if you know that you've got so much foot candles already in a space, you're truly trying to find the appropriate accent fixture, start taking a look at the intensity distribution chart that most manufacturers will put on their spec sheets. So going back to that example of 50-foot candles, we know that if we have a mounting height of, say, 8 feet or 10 feet, that this fixture is not going to work because it's showing 88.7-foot candles. But if we have a mounting height of only 6 feet, or distance of 6 feet from the fixture to the produce table, this fixture will work because it gives it 246 foot candles. So that's where these charts come in real handy, is trying to figure out exactly how much light is needed, and gives you that information right on these charts here. The second element of light that can then be modified and changed is lighting movement or spacing of the fixtures. And what we're going to talk about with in regards to this is actual track spacing and how it relates to mounting track around produce tables or display stands in a produce department. A couple rules of thumb to keep in mind. The lower the ceiling or mounting height, the closer the track should be to the table edge in order to avoid glare. Because what we have to think about is in situations and applications such as this, while we do want to get as much light as possible on the track, on the produce tables and displays, we do want to minimize the amount of glare. So the lower the mounting height, the closer the track should be to the table edge in order to avoid glare from people's line of sight. When budget is limited and you can't put track everywhere that you'd like, it's best to put track down the center of each display and not in the center of each aisle between the displays. So run it down right down the center of the display versus down the center of the aisle. Other track spacing options to consider. One like you see here, creating a ring around the track, around the produce table. And this will get you set off 6 to 24 inches off the display edge. And overall, it will take it 1 to 4 feet larger than the display dimensions. So a system like this will provide the best aiming angles and illumination, but it really limits the department, though, from flexibility and moving their produce tables and their displays over the long run. So if this is a store where they know they're not going to be moving their displays, this is an ideal type of scenario. But for a store that's going to be moving their displays, obviously this is not as ideal of a space or mounting method to do. Probably the most versatile way to utilize track within a produce department or bakery or deli is aligning the track diagonally. This not only does a good job of giving you versatility as the departments move displays around, it also creates visual interest. Instead of creating horizontal or vertical lines of track in a space, it breaks it up and kind of chops it up and creates visual interest for the shopper. So this is an outstanding layout in very highly dynamic departments. Once again, where everything is moving and going in different directions, this gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of putting light where you need it to go. When it comes to mounting track within your produce departments, a lot of people ask you, what is the perfect mounting height? Well, typically, a perfect mounting height is really dependent upon what else is being done in the space. If there is overall overhead general lighting, you probably want to get as close as you can to those track tables to help fight through that general lighting. So you're probably looking at 10 feet above finished floor. If there is no general lighting, you're probably looking closer to 12 to 14 feet. It can be an ideal mounting height for you. The third property of light that we can manipulate is form. And when it comes to track lighting and produce departments, the form that can be manipulated is the beam spread within a fixture. So we all have seen track heads and different fixtures with different beam spreads, whether it's spot, medium, flood, and how that plays out in the supermarket is fairly interesting. A good example is how beam spreads can be used when lighting end caps. A couple different ways of doing that. The first way is to use a spot beam, like you see in this photo here. Get a higher light level near eye height up for the shopper and really highlight all the merchandise at eye height by using a spot beam in your track fixture. Or you can go more with a full balance light level across the merchandise display using a flood or a wall wash beam. So what this does, this gives you more of a uniform light level at the top of the display all the way down to the bottom of the display. Other things relating to form of light, talking about wall washing or highlighting signage and walls and creating architectural effect with that. A couple different ways of doing that. As you can see in this photo here, what they're doing is they're using spot fixtures to highlight the bakery signage and the different signage in the wall. That's definitely one way to do it. Another way of doing it is by using fixtures that actually give you a wall wash distribution that will wash the wall evenly from top to bottom and side to side, doing it in such a way that you see here. So back to that photo showing you spot, to this photo right here showing you wall wash, going back and forth. So far we've talked about intensity, looking at the actual intensity of the light fixture that can be manipulated. We've talked about movement, where to put the fixtures, whether it's track fixtures, mounting height, how to arrange them within the department. We've talked about form, the beam spread within the fixtures. And lastly, what we can talk about and actually manipulate with the light fixture systems is color. A lot of times people say, well, Jay, what is the right color temperature to use within a supermarket? Well, that's really a subjective question because there really is no right or wrong answer. It all comes down to personal preference. We have some supermarkets that really like the warmer side of things. They'll gravitate towards 2,700 degrees. And plus, we have some supermarkets that really like to stay kind of neutral and go to 3,500 degrees Kelvin. We have some that like to mix it up. We have some that'll use 2,700 degrees in certain parts of the area, and then others that'll use 3,500 or 4,100 degrees in other parts of the department. So it really depends on the client and what they're trying to achieve. We have one customer that we've dealt with in the past that likes 2,000 degrees Kelvin, which we had to manipulate using different colored lenses and different special LED chips to get them exactly what they wanted, but we did that. This photo here shows oranges being illuminated with a 2,700 degree Kelvin temperature chip, and it gives you a very nice warm color. So that is a whirlwind tour of how to light your specialty departments using track fixtures and different things that we can manipulate using the intensity of light, the movement of light, the form, and the color. Any questions?